Jacksonville. I like that. Jackson.
Why do I have two Twitches in here? This thing is freaking weird.
The Chargers are just forever the Clippers in my head. LAC.
Yeah, LA Clippers.
And they are the Clippers of the of LA as well.
In football, yeah.
Yeah, the football Clippers.
With the Rams being the Lakers, for sure.
What's up, everybody? We're live postseason week 1
Hello.
of the NFL 2022 season.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome.
Welcome in.
All right. Today's drink of choice: Drinks Brewing Company's Block Party Beer, Tropical Hazy IPA. There it is for you guys.
How is it?
I haven't even opened it yet.
Oh.
I'll open it right now.
All right. Well, to open up the show here, I have one season-long bet that I need to pay up here. So, yeah, my version of what was going to happen in Denver in my head turned out very different this year than what I thought. And Sutton was not the number one wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy was, but it doesn't really matter. That the whole year in Denver was just a lost year. So
It was really bad. There's no winners in that one.
no, there really isn't. That's just losers right now. But I'm one of them, so I'm going to go ahead and take my shot for that one.
And then
Ken?
we had a really up in the air week 18, and it all went in Brian's favor, with the Packers losing and Terry McLaurin scoring a touchdown against the Cowboys. I ended up with 2 Bowmore shots, which I'm going to take here in just a second. And then a couple other season longs. A couple of them, we stopped carrying that a long time ago, I think. And I could have taken the shots probably weeks and weeks ago. That Lazard and the OBJ one.
Yeah, I kind of thought you were, honestly.
Yeah, we could have. I could have, but I'll take those ones tonight, I guess. We'll see how many shots we can get through tonight. So we'll start with Bowmore number 1. Where's my shot glass?
Right here.
All right, cool.
And for those of you counting, he owes a total of 7. 7.
Yeah.
Sorry, if I'm giggling, it's because I'm enjoying
He
this.
drank. Yeah.
I took last place in the pick'em score, but that's not a Bowmar, so
Oh, you ready? All right.
whatever you want to pull off the rack. No, I said not a Bowmar, but anything else off the rack.
All right.
It's freaking.
Oh God.
You need one more of these. I'll pour that. There you go. Gotta make sure you get it up to the top there. Ah.
Fuck you, Aaron Rodgers. I feel like Kenny Mayne right now. The sign off from Sports Center. I don't know if you guys ever seen that. Are you familiar with who Kenny Mayne is?
No.
On ESPN.
Nope, I'm not.
He's a really funny guy. Anyway.
I know Joy Taylor. I know Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless. And the other guy that's in Skip Bayless' show. Who's the other guy in
Sharp?
Skip? Oh, that was just made to just piss everybody off.
The lesser talented Shark brother.
Oh, dang. Well, he admittedly says that. Didn't he say something like that?
He loves his brother. Yeah.
In the Hall of Fame speech?
That would never be an insult to him. And I would never say it like that to insult him. Shannon Sharp is awesome. But Sterling Sharp was a monster. And as a Cowboys fan, it's hard to forget the game where he scored 4 touchdowns against us. And lost.
Ooh.
Just
Not such a bad memory. Got it.
No, it was good memory. Our memories versus Brett Favre, beautiful. We loved playing against Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Fuck Aaron Rodgers. We're so happy to see him go. But we owned Brett Favre. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so the Bowmores are done.
All right.
We did that. Man, you know what? It almost tastes like someone put liquid smoke in it.
It's got that.
It's got a
aftertaste.
nasty, smoky flavor. It would be
Not a good one, yeah.
because it's almost got some sweetness to it, but it doesn't come through because of that smoky flavor.
It has a medicine aftertaste to my palate. Just nah.
That's Southern Comfort for me. I can't drink Southern Comfort anymore because that's what it reminds me of. If I take a shot of that, I gag.
That's what got me through college. Southern Comfort.
So cool.
Me and all my buddies, that's what we got.
I was about 19, 20 when I was drinking it all the time. We were playing quarters,
Yeah.
and it was. You drink beer, and then if somebody would get 3 in a row or whatever, they give away a shot instead.
Yeah.
And that's what we took was shots of Southern Comfort.
Until you grew up and got a palate, and then you were like, "That shit is gross."
Yeah, how did we do that? I wasn't even grew up and got a palate. It was like became 21, and I wasn't like drinking someone
what somebody else bought
was able to go to the store and get. Good times. So yeah, it's going to be probably a much shorter show this week because we've got
Yeah, go a little more in depth into the games, but honestly, there's not a whole lot of fantasy to go over. So I mean, I don't know how much fantasy we'll do. I mean, we'll do our fantasy lineup at the end of the show.
What we think,
right?
I think we'll just go through what we think is going to happen, and that'll just be. Yeah, I actually didn't set up a DraftKings or anything.
Oh,
like
okay.
that, so
I usually don't do DraftKings during post season.
there was something else I was talking to Brian about off air that I forgot to mention before we started live. We'll talk about that later, though, and other people might know about it. Anybody who's listening, there's a lot of different fantasy football-esque competitions that you can get yourself into, like the one that that I'm going to be looking at to try and share with these guys. Has to do with kind of like a guillotine type league where you pick one player from each team and then you try and score more fantasy points than everybody else, all the way through the Super Bowl.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've never heard of a league like that. Usually I'll do one of the leagues that's got like the multipliers. You know what I mean? You pick somebody, you pick your players in week 1, and then if they happen to make it to week 2, now they have a multiplier of ×2 for any points that they get. So there's an incentive to pick those wild card teams, but you still end up picking a lot of your number one
The guys that aren't playing this week
because they're going to be playing hopefully the last 3 games. So you're really kind of predicting how the players are going to do and who's going to go
I asked
on.
you, I said, which kicker would you pick if if you were going to put one of those teams together? And I actually was surprised that you didn't just like instantly come to the pick that like my pick. And that's Robbie Gould, because he's playing for the 49ers, so we expect them to go like at least fantasy championship game, right?
Okay.
And he's never missed in the playoffs.
But see, I'd rather take McCaffrey.
But I mean, I don't think so, because I think you can get another running back. You can get a really good running back.
I think McCaffrey is going to go wild in these playoffs.
I don't think
here.
so.
You don't think so? I don't see them
the
relying
playoffs
on Brock Purdy.
The playoffs are the teams in the playoffs are so much better. Like in the wild card round, maybe I could see him going wild in the wild card round.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But after that, he's going to be the player the teams are locking in to shut down. Like you're going to have to go somewhere besides him and Debo. So the player
and Kittle.
So I would want Ayuk. If I was going to take,
that's what I'm saying. There's so many weapons that they can't really sell out on.
There are, but their kicker is so good, and I feel like the kickers I would want are either him or maybe McPherson from the Bengals.
See, now those are the 2 of the high value offenses that I want players from, not kickers.
But all the players all the offenses are gonna have players that produce points. So I don't think the best strategy is just go, I'm just going to take Jamar Chase and Christian McCaffrey. I think a better strategy is to make sure that you have a kicker and a quarterback who's going to be playing at the end because those are good points. Not necessarily the kicker. And so I said the kicker, he's going to go as far as the championship game. So you kind of want your kicker to get eliminated.
Which is why I'd pick the Miami kicker or the Baltimore kicker, or you know what I mean?
but maybe not right away. I don't know. I've never done it before, so there's
I haven't either. We don't know the strategies. So it'd be interesting to go into.
Yeah, he obviously has a different idea of what he would do than I do.
All right. Yeah. No, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, because I want. I feel like I want to go for the explosive plays from players who are going to get eliminated in wild card round, and I want my quarterback and my kicker to move on to get as many cheap points as possible, and then I'll just steal a couple, like in the divisional round, guys who haven't played yet. I'll just make if you make a couple of good starts there in the wild card round and the divisional round with guys that are going to get eliminated, having a kicker and quarterback that go for a long time.
I love the quarterback idea. It's just the kicker that I'm just like, well, why do you care so much?
There's so
about
many
the
points.
kicker?
There's so many kicker points in the playoffs.
I mean, you're
There's
averaging 9 points.
No, in the
in
playoffs it's different. Because they are so more willing to take points. I was just I rewatched that the Cowboys lost to the 49ers in the wild card round last year, and Kyle Shanahan kicked field goals twice inside the 30-yard line with 4th and less than 3. And it's just those aren't decisions that he typically makes in the regular season. They're decisions you make in the postseason because the better decision is to take the points. We all know that. It's just apparently in the regular season.
All right, Mr. Anti-Analytic.
So I want to kick off the Homer Minute just while the thoughts are running in my head.
And while I'm looking at this beautiful Baker Mayfield interception.
All I want to talk about really is Sean McVay, and if he leaves the Rams, I think he leaves his Hall of Fame chance off the table, right? Maybe, at least in my eyes, maybe they won't look at it that way, but he's now facing adversity, and to me, he's walking away. Instead of trying to show that he could build a team from the bottom all the way back up.
And I don't think anybody ever expected him to do that. And I think he's going to get a complete pass if he chooses to walk away.
Well, didn't you get? I mean,
because
it was announced today that he's staying.
I didn't see.
I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, no. The news report came out that he's staying.
I've been busy all day.
Nope, he's staying in LA.
So
so kind of that's why I was like, you guys heard the report,
nope,
right?
didn't.
No, he said he's staying in LA. It's a moot point.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's
he's
great.
staying.
That's fantastic.
I would love for him to.
I like that a lot. I'm with you. I
Adversity.
didn't want him to cut and run either, and just be like, yeah, well, because he could have easily gotten a pass for what's going on because he's not the one who made all the cap decisions and traded away all the draft picks. At least the way the public sees it,
I can't remember who I was listening to, but somebody compared it to a dynasty manager who just sells out for this season, wins the Super Bowl,
doesn't play anymore.
and then quits the league. After they sold off all their draft picks and everything else. I thought that was
hilarious.
I thought that was a great comp.
I mean, if you do that like on the first season of Dynasty and you get to take home all the money, like why wouldn't
all
you?
your draft?
Why would you give them
what
the
more
little
could I
period?
do in this league? I should. You know what?
I
It's
can
funny.
rebuild over the next 5 years.
So
or
our league is set up really well against something like that because our pot, my Dynasty league, is set up so that a large chunk of it rolls over. And the only way to claim the chunk that rolls over is to be a repeat champion.
That's neat. I guess you could also mitigate that too if you do like a 5-year buy-in. Like you have to do a 5-year buy-in. But anyway,
that's an interesting idea. Like, because his main concern about starting up a dynasty league is people flaking out and leaving. But because I think we should be playing dynasty.
So that's it for me. I'm done with my Homer Minute. You kind of just like, wham.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's good that he stays because I would have been worried about that Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame talks.
But now,
running away from
now
adversity.
that him and Stafford are
Nice beanie.
confirmed to be coming back, now you can kind of like plan to pick up the pieces,
see what you can do.
see what you can do because like what are they going to do? What are they going to do?
are
they going to rebuild the offensive line and run it back?
They had a lot of injuries this year too that nobody really talks about.
But if the offensive line hadn't fallen apart so bad, it wouldn't have been so bad.
Yeah.
So, and we knew their offensive line was like a college level offensive line going into the season. We knew that. So like if they're able to, I don't know how you do it without a first round draft pick, and like because usually the way that you do it, you reload on the offensive line real quick. Is you have a high draft pick in the first round, so you get a Power 5 conference offensive tackle or something like that, and you pair him with a high power free agent, and all of a sudden your offensive line is much much better. But I don't even know who's out there.
So he's going to have to figure out an innovative way to find talent that's first round talent.
Yeah, and I
So
think
it's going to be something
that
we
was
haven't
another thing
seen.
that they kind of thought that they were doing is like you guys had a bunch of like second and third day guys that were showing out while things were going good. So we'll see if those guys can really like be leaders on the team.
Well, I'm sorry, real quick before we move on. Like, I've got a question about the Rams. Cam Akers, what the hell?
I'm buying him in Dynasty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
he looks good.
He looked good. He looked horrible the first half
I know,
of the season.
but he had an Achilles injury.
and last year, no, I get it. And nobody's really come back from Achilles yet this year, except Foreman and
I was
Akers.
going to
all
say
of a sudden,
Deontay Foreman, and
these two-
Deontay Foreman looks like it never happened.
and Deontay Foreman is 4 years out, 3 or 4
3
years
years
out
out now.
3 to 4 years out for his Achilles. So that to me, that's
I
a
want to
big
buy.
difference.
So I want to buy in on Cam Akers. Like I'm trying to trade Barkley for him and a first rounder.
Interessante.
Wow, that seems like you're valuing get more than the first rounder.
For if I can get Cam Akers and a first round draft pick for Saquon Barkley, I'm snapping that.
Whew. I wish I could trade him to you.
Seriously. Well, okay.
I'd
Well,
take
then
that
why
trade.
hasn't the person I offered it to taken the trade? It's been
I don't
sitting
know.
there
I
for
would have taken
days.
it. I would have taken it.
But yeah, I like Cam Akers that much.
Wow, that's an impressive amount. So I mean, that's a big question for me. What about you, Ray? Like, what was your impression?
I'm not a
of
big
Cam?
running back guy. He's been injured. His productivity came at the end of the season. There was some animosity.
Right.
But they
Yeah.
like him. They chose him over everybody else. And I mean, Sean McVay does seem to be attached to him.
Yeah, I mean, you could be attached to him from one end, but from the Cam Akers end, how much of that was him just being
Cam Akers
drama,
still has 2 more years locked in with the Rams, though, is another part of that. And so if you're like, we know that Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford are coming back. Yeah, I want Cam Akers.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Yeah.
Because on the other side, like I'm comparing him to Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is 2 years older. He's going to be a free agent this year, so he's going into his second contract, and like we expect that he's going to re-sign with the Giants. But running backs on their second contract, it just doesn't ever work out. It never seems to work out. Running backs are like the first 5 years, and that's it.
Right.
Now-
yeah.
nowadays.
5 to 6 years. You're right there.
Like Galvin Kamara is kind of like a unicorn in today's NFL because he just finished his 6th year. He's almost done.
And what about Henry?
He's
Where's
almost
he
done
at?
with his second contract. Derrick Henry is a little different. I look at him different
56.
because he didn't perform in the first contract. He didn't really play. The first 3 years of his career, he didn't play very much. So it's to me, he's he's going to be 29 next year, but he's like a running back that you look at as though he's like 26 at the end of that first contract. Is the way that I look at Derrick Henry. Is like every single year that you buy in on him is just like it should just be this year. So he's not a player I would trade for in the offseason in Dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a player that I would trade for in week 7, week 8.
Who's up?
You?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
What happened, brother?
Yeah. Like
Those Dolphins, those pesky Dolphins.
that's all there is to say. I mean, everything was going our way. We needed New England to lose. They did that. We needed Miami to lose. They did not do that.
They did not.
They
But
won, but
Joe Flacco,
we
man.
won. So we did what we needed to do. New England had already lost, and there's like 3 or 4 minutes left in the Miami game. I'm just like, come on, Miami, you can lose this.
Come on,
You
Jets.
know?
Yeah, it was I watched. That was the game I watched the most of, and I was just so done watching football after watching that and the first half of the Cowboys Commanders game. Like I was done.
Those were 2 bad games.
Yeah, it was an ugly day.
If
of
those were the
football.
games you were watching,
Yeah,
that's
it was,
no bueno.
It was ugly.
I was watching the Houston game.
More fun.
Oh yeah, I bet that was fun, especially the end. But,
So the
how do you-
Steelers ended up 9-8. Tomlin still has his
got it.
his record, so fantastic. Obviously hoping to make the playoffs there for the fun of it, but not that sad that we didn't because we're just not ready this year. But I feel like we're
Yeah, 'cause if it had
we're
been
gonna
you guys, you'd be going to
improve going
Buffalo
into
this
next
weekend.
year. So this is gonna be fun. What's that?
I said if it had been you guys, you'd be going to Buffalo this weekend.
Right. Which
How do you feel about that?
that's a tall order. You know what I mean? Would I like to be there? Yeah. No, that's way better than sitting on the side. But
I love
I
that.
don't know.
I love how this
When
17
Miami loses 49-7 on Sunday, you're probably
Well,
like,
that's not what we lose by. But
probably. Oh, you already did that this year.
we're so
you
much
already
better than
did
Miami.
that this year. What was the score?
Oh, I don't remember, but it wasn't that bad.
The Pittsburgh Buffalo game? Was that last year?
I don't remember.
It was this year. That was this year. That I feel like that was this year where like we were watching the Pittsburgh Buffalo game, and your team was just like, it was like, I remember the game was like, I want to say it was like 14-3 or something like that, and you guys were driving, and then Pickett threw an interception in the red zone, and that was it. That was the end of the game.
That sounds about right.
You'd have to go back and
Yeah,
look at the,
we had a gauntlet like come week 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 or something like that. We just had like, it was Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati. Like it was all the teams in a row, and it's just like, oh
that
god.
are better than you guys.
Well, this year, you're right.
Going back to what you were saying about the 50-50, Tomlin's 50-50. I love how the 17 game makes it where you can't land on 50-50.
Yeah, he can't
That's
be-
like
he can't
either
be
you did
8-8.
it or you
Yeah.
didn't.
Well, yeah, because he did have 1 year where he's 8 and 8. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I kind of like that. You know, you either have a winning season or a losing.
38-3.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, who cares? I'd still rather be there. Like last year, the Steelers going into the playoffs, it was painful. That was the worst team that we've had in years, and we made it to the playoffs somehow. And I wasn't super looking
then
forward to that game because I knew what was going to happen.
Hey, and
but
then you know
we
what?
made the playoffs,
And then 15 minutes into that game, you guys were still in it.
but not 20.
No, not 20.
Yeah.
15 minutes in, you guys were still in the game. 20 minutes, you could have turned it off.
Yeah.
That second quarter was brutal.
I just remember last year's Steelers being so bad, like so painful to watch. It was
It's because Ben was done.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So,
So tell us about Dallas, man.
Dallas gets a 7th opportunity to get a win against Tom Brady.
I thought it was the 8th.
It's the 7th. We're 0-6. Dallas is 0-6 versus Tom Brady lifetime.
Were they all New
No.
England, or some of them are Tampa?
Last 2 were Tampa.
Also,
'Cause we opened the last 2 seasons in Tampa Bay.
when was the last time they won a wild card game in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs?
Dallas?
Yeah, it was in the 90s.
2018.
A wild card game?
Yeah, we
Was
won 2018, 2014, 2009.
I heard a statistic that they hadn't won like a
No, they
away
haven't.
game since the 90s or something like that.
An away playoff game, probably.
Well, isn't that
So-
what all wild card games are?
No.
Right? Oh, I guess not, huh? Because you could be hosting the
No,
wild
they were
card.
no, because
Yeah.
they hosted the other three.
Yeah.
The 3 that I just brought up, they were the home team for all 3 of those
Yeah.
games. They beat the Eagles, the Lions, and the Seahawks.
So they're facing 2 historical statistics of this game.
Yeah, the Cowboys'
against them.
last road playoff win was the NFC Championship game in 1992.
Damn.
Over 2 decades ago.
3. 3.
Oh shit! It is 3.
3.
We're old.
I mathed that completely wrong.
He didn't realize how old he was.
I try not to think.
But
about
hey,
it.
you know what? We are in the show yet again. It's interesting to me. Like the only person who seems to be on the hot seat right now is Mike McCarthy. Like his job is the one of the talking points this week is that his job's on the line if the Cowboys lose this game.
They made it to the Super Bowl. Why would you want to
to
replace
me-
your coach?
Huh?
They made it to the Super Bowl. Why would you
What
want
do
to
you mean?
replace your coach?
What are you talking about? Who?
McCarthy. You said McCarthy, right?
No, Cowboys coach is McCarthy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You made it not to the Super Bowl. You made it to the. Did I say Super Bowl?
playoffs.
You made it to the playoffs. Why would you want to?
Because Sean Payton's out there. That's
You want
why-
to give up a first-round
that's
draft
why.
pick for a coach?
Well, when the Buccaneers did it, they won a Super Bowl.
Oh, did they give up? What would they give up for Reed?
The Buccaneers gave up a first-round draft pick for Gruden.
Oh, did they?
Oh, that was so long ago.
Oh, I didn't even know
You
about
didn't-
that.
you didn't
I
know
was
that?
like, yeah.
Yeah, the Buccaneers.
I thought you were talking about Reed. I
No,
said, man, I
when,
didn't
in,
even know
in
about
2000, at the end of the 2001 season, the Buccaneers gave up a first-round draft pick to the Raiders for the rights to John Gruden.
that. Wow.
John Gruden went to Tampa Bay and took them to the Super Bowl, where they defeated.
I can't
The
believe
Oakland Raiders.
that paid off. That is so bizarre. Huh. Like my opinion of Gruden has never been very high.
Because
so.
he was just the right guy. He was the right guy. Like because the defense was, he didn't have to do anything to the defense. The defense was complete.
Right.
Like they were
Dungy
completely.
put that together.
Yeah, Dungy had put that defense together. They were veterans. They had played together for years. Like they were on autopilot on defense. Like that defense ran itself. John Lynch was the quarterback of the defense. Like they had John Lynch, Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, Rondé Barber, Simeon Rice. That team was loaded on defense. They needed someone to come in and figure out offense. And he came
Just do enough to get it done.
do enough.
Yeah,
and he
just
did.
do enough.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. Won a Super Bowl with Brad Johnson, who actually is one of my favorite follows on social media. Brad Johnson.
That wasn't the Trent Dilfer year?
Huh? No. Trent Dilfer is the Ravens.
Oh, duh.
He was a Buccaneers
right.
quarterback.
Sorry. Defensive team. I'm just defensive Super Bowl win. That's what I think. Sorry. It's funny.
Everyone remembers that the 2000 Ravens defense, but to me, the Buccaneers defense of that era was better.
Hard to compare the two, but
The Ravens had
amazing.
the Ravens had a all-time year in 2000. They did. They had an
Oh, for sure.
all-time year, but that Buccaneers defense was a decade of dominance. Like from 97,
and they were ahead of their time. You know what I mean?
Like
they were
ni-
running schemes that the rest of the
that
NFL started
Tampa
to
2.
copy.
Like
Yeah,
they
that
still
Tampa
call
2.
it the Tampa 2.
Exactly.
They call it the Tampa 2.
Exactly.
That's why they call it the Tampa 2 from that era.
Yep.
Because it was just so hard to beat. And the reason it was so hard to beat is because they only had to rush 4 guys. Like
That helps a lot.
They
Doesn't it?
they rushed 4 guys and they had 2 all pros in the secondary and 2 all pros at linebacker, and just like their linebackers were like mini safeties. They were so good. Derek Brooks is one of my favorite players of all time. Anyway, that's why his job is on the line. Mike McCarthy, bring that all around, is because I'm sure that Jerry Jones feels like this roster is primed, and if they just had the right guy, the right mixture, chemistry, that they should win. So I could see them doing that. I could see them being willing, based on the way the roster is set up right now.
Would you want them to?
That's a good question. I like that
So
question.
the reason I brought this up is because I would rather answer this other question first.
Okay.
I want to hear that one first.
I think Dak's job should be on the line.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He's got to play better. That's
Like
for sure.
I'm watching. I rewatched the playoff game from last year. I rewatched the playoff game from 2018. You can't tell the difference.
Like he hasn't grown as a player.
Like he hasn't grown as a player. He makes the same fucking mistakes. Like Dak has the ability to do like top 5 quarterback things, and then he plays like Kirk Cousins sometimes. And he plays like Baker
Blake
Mayfield
Bortles.
sometimes. He does. Like some of the throws that he makes is like, dude, how do you make these beautiful 35, 40 yard field, 40 yard throws, and then miss this 8-yard out so bad that the defender would have intercepted it had he been looking? There are so many of those where he gets lucky. Like people harp on the stuff the mistakes that do happen. I'm seeing all the things where he gets lucky, and it's like, that should have been an interception.
Right.
Like his turnover-worthy plays. I haven't looked this up on PFF, but he's got to be really high up there in turnover-worthy plays.
Yeah.
And that's
especially the last 6 weeks.
So that to me, that's more frustrating than what's going on with a coach. Like I told you guys this, I think last week. The Cowboys, to me, are playing more solid football on a week-to-week basis than I can remember in the last 20 years. It's been since Bill Parcells was there. Like things were shenanigans for a couple of years after the Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer dynasty run, whatever. And then Bill Parcells came in and cleaned everything up, before Jerry Jones ruined that by signing T.O. And for the couple years that Bill Parcells was there, that was what you expected from the Cowboys. You expected them to play tough defense and to not beat themselves and to be in the game at the end of games. And that's what they are now. Is they are a team that plays good defense. They don't beat themselves a lot, and I'll come back to that in a second. And they're just like Mike McCarthy has them in games. Like they're just in all of these games. So I don't really want to see him go.
Okay.
I wouldn't really want to trade a first round draft pick to go from 12-5 and 12-5 in consecutive years to whatever Sean Payton might do. And he's going to come in and like a third of the guys that we have on offense aren't going to fit schematically for him or something like that. And we have to go through a whole bunch of more changes. And like Sean Payton comes in and we lose Dan Quinn and Kellen Moore. And
How many years has he been out now? 2, 3?
this is his first one.
No, Sean Payton. Like how many years has
This
he been
is his
out?
first year out.
Really?
No.
Yes, it was this time last year where he.
I believe you,
It was
but-
this time last year where he had that 2-hour press conference where he was saying goodbye. This is the only year he's missed.
Feels like it's been 2
I
years.
know because people are talking about him constantly.
I really think it's been 2 years.
It hasn't.
From 1997 to 2021. So yeah.
Wow, man.
It's just this year.
Feels like a
All right.
long time
So
ago.
moving on. Unless you're not done. Are you not done?
Yeah. No, we're gonna come back and talk about the Cowboys.
Yeah,
in this game,
we'll be there in a minute.
So moving on, it's the beginning of the postseason. What do you guys see as the last 2 teams?
Let's make our Super Bowl picks.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm going Eagles, Casey. Those are my 2 Super Bowl picks.
We can write these somewhere. We should.
I got them right here.
Okay, cool. All right.
I want to pick somebody else because I don't want to be, just
Associated
pick the 2
with
number
me?
ones.
Thanks.
But I think Kansas City is going
Well,
to take
Kansas
the
City
AFC.
is really only Kansas City is like 1A.
Well, let's talk about it real quick.
Because if Buffalo and Kansas City in a championship game is going to be played at a neutral site, then there is no number 1.
Okay, but all I'm saying is Buffalo, Kansas City, and Cincinnati. To me, like any of those 3 teams can go.
Oh, I agree.
I don't think there's another team from the AFC that can really go there. It's got to be one of those
It would
3.
be absolutely shocking
And
if
to
it
me, I
wasn't
think it's
one of
KC.
those 3.
Exactly. And then on the NFC side, to me, it's the Eagles or the Niners. I just, maybe the Cowboys can show out, but they've been bad the last.
They've been
few
too
weeks.
inconsistent.
Yes,
They've been too like their defense. I'm not worried about because they're getting their quarterback back.
Right.
Leighton Vander Esch is coming back. It's the offense. It's what Dak does.
Yep.
Like Dak's too inconsistent. You can't. It's hard to bet on him. Like,
Yep.
It really is.
And
Sorry, Dak.
Jerry Jones is too inconsistent too.
And he does have a lot to do with what happens on the field.
And we'll go into that in the football theories off season.
So anyway, and I can't take. So I'm looking at the Eagles and the Niners, and I can't take the Niners because of Brock Purdy. I just like.
You're gonna bet against Brock Purdy? That seems like
Yes,
a
I
mistake.
am.
That
I
seems
just-
like a mistake, brother.
Do I think Brock Purdy can do it 3-4 times in a row?
So
in
I saw
playoffs?
this.
just
So
don't.
I've seen this. I saw this statistic. Brock Purdy has completed 2 touchdown passes, 2+ touchdown passes, in 5 consecutive games. Steve Young did that once.
Okay, that's a cherry pick stat, though. I mean, look at
Hey,
yardage, look at completions, look how much was on his shoulders. Look, am I impressed for a third stringer rookie come in and do what he's been doing?
That's not
for
fair.
sure.
More than just
But-
that. I'm like to me he's outplayed so many like prime time quarterbacks over this last stretch. Like in that time,
Defenses are studying him now, though.
And now playoff defenses are studying him. And now there's going to be offenses
let
that
me-
can
let me-
actually
let
score
me
on
look
San
back.
Francisco. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I feel like Brock Purdy is a weak point for them, and I don't think that Philly has that weak point. So I'm going to take Philly, and I'm going to take Kansas City, which I didn't want to do. I didn't want to take the 2 number 1s, but I'm not sure where else this would go. AFC side to me has a lot more volatility, but NFC I really see the Eagles rolling. Sorry, Ken.
oh yeah, no, I don't see that at all.
I
Jalen-
didn't think you would.
No, they still almost lost to the Giants. Are you kidding?
What, this last week?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a 1-score game.
So
Jalen Hurts played the whole game,
No, I know.
and he's
but-
hurt. He's not healthy, and
and he wasn't really running the ball.
he's gonna get he's gonna get the week off.
It was a practice game for Philly.
I don't know.
And they
I-
treated it as such.
I don't know. I still just don't. I'm still not bought in on Philadelphia.
Here's a
Sorry.
fun stat that we're gonna test Ken's wizardness on. How many times have the top 2 seeds made it to the Super Bowl?
That I don't know.
Okay,
That-
when was the last time?
The last time that the top 2 seeds made to
Yeah.
the Super Bowl, it would take me a second, like to actually like play through my head when it happened.
Let me know if you give up.
I don't. Yeah, it's gonna take me too long because I'll have to go through all of them like one by one.
Last time was 1993. The Cowboys beat the Bills in Georgia Dome.
That was the last time the 2 number 1s went.
Yes, 1993.
Oh, so you guys are definitely wrong.
Since
30 years
1975.
running.
Since 1975, the top seeds in each conference have met in the Super Bowl 8 times. So, for those of you guys who are wondering,
But
that's
not
one thing
since
I was
1983.
worried about when I made this pick was like,
How often does it happen?
Yes, but-
And see, I'm not worried about that. I'm looking at just like who is the best team? Who do I think can make this kind of a run? And I think Mahomes, the way he's been playing all year long has just been incredibly impressive to me.
He's got the most experience too.
Absolutely. And Josh Allen being hurt, the Bills, I feel like
That's the biggest
are
factor. To me.
almost limping a little bit.
The biggest factor in my decision on which team I think is going to make the Super Bowl from the AFC is Josh Allen's elbow injury.
Okay.
And if it hadn't been for that elbow injury, I would be picking Buffalo.
So Brian's
But-
picking this one too. Okay.
Yeah, but because of that elbow injury, I'm going to pick Cincinnati to come
Okay.
out of the AFC, and I am picking the 49ers
Okay.
to come
Yeah.
out of the
like-
AFC.
like those 5 teams are the ones that are really in it. I mean, I guess there's technically 14 teams in this tournament.
I just think,
I feel like there's 5.
To me, what I've seen lately is like there is nobody playing better quarterback than Joe Burrow right now. Nobody. Like,
I would say Mahomes.
He's not,
if he's
though.
not playing better, he's playing as good. Like
No,
Mahomes has been amazing
Mahomes has been. I don't
with
know. I
what
don't-
he's done with the weapons he's had. Like,
what do you
dude
mean? What's
has
wrong with his
impressed
weapons? What's wrong with his weapons?
Beyond Kelsey,
Yeah.
his number 1 receiver is who?
Does it matter? His number one receiver is
Well,
Travis
that's what I'm
Kelce.
saying. That's what's so
Like-
impressive is he's spreading the ball around.
But they
to
have
his
they have
mediocre
good
weapons.
players. They're not. It's not the same as if like Aaron Rodgers had made the playoffs. You know, it's not that. It's not that level of like.
It's
they're
pretty
not
close, dude.
No, they're not, dude. That's not
MVS.
Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju is a good player. Juju's a really good player. Juju's a really good season. Like you keep like I don't. Like do you just have can we pull up Juju stats real quick?
Okay, please.
Can we do that?
Because he's supposed to be, or he is, the number 1 receiver on the team.
Are you looking
He's
at it?
not putting up number 1 receiver stats.
What do you want to know?
I want to
Just
know his
season-long
season. I want to
stats.
know his receptions, yards, touchdowns for the season, 2022.
Regular season 78 receptions.
Okay.
And what was the other one?
Yards,
Yards, he's at 933.
okay, and touchdowns.
Touchdowns, he's at 3.
Okay, so he had low touchdowns, but 78
And low
catches,
yards.
78 catches for over 900 yards,
78 catches is decent.
and
But if you're not getting 1,100 yards with 78 catches, dude, you're just not.
what are you talking about?
So Juju's a decent
I think
number
there's some
3?
validity behind a postseason winning receiver needing to be over 1,000 yards in a regular season.
That's
I think
but for
I
the-
think there's some
but their-
validity behind
But
what he's
their
saying.
number
Yeah.
one receiver is Kelsey. It's not the same as with other teams. You can't.
That's true.
It's not
That's
the
true.
same.
And I threw that out there at the beginning. Yeah, Kelsey is his weapon.
That's his number one.
is his number
that's
one
like
weapon,
that's
for
like
sure.
saying when Brady was throwing to Gronk. Well, we got to look at Deion Branch's
I was about
numbers.
to say, like,
We gotta-
what was that? What did that look like? But I don't want to look that up.
Who's Tom Brady's number one? You know, and it's like Tom, and so he didn't get a whole lot of that credit. Like Andy Reid,
But they were also relying on
it's
their defense,
different
which
because,
isn't what
because
Kansas
it's different
City's
because
doing.
Andy like the reason that I am not so quick to jump on Mahomes as like being this like stud quarterback is because a lot of the stuff that he does is improvisational, and at a certain
In comparison, Kelsey has had 12 touchdowns, 110
catches
receptions, and
Like
over
13
1,300
yeah.
yards. Yeah.
he had a career
So
season. yeah.
as your number two, Juju had a stud season. Like considering that he had to compare with that on the team, That was a really good year. The touchdowns are fluky. Some years you score 10, some years you score 4.
So
And
who would be a good number 2 to measure? Like another number
to
2
compare him to?
to a Super Bowl winning team.
T. Higgins.
Yes, compare him to T. Higgins. Pull
T. Higgins?
Pull up T. Higgins' numbers. They're not going to be that much better, if they are at all.
Oh, they're better.
Okay, so
T. Higgins is at
what
least
year?
1,100 yards.
This year.
This year.
Oh, okay.
Catches,
74?
Less catches.
74, 1,000 yards, over 1,000 yards for
Only
his
not 11, huh?
1,029.
Wow.
With
okay.
7 touchdowns.
7 touchdowns.
So less than 100 more yards. It was so the touchdowns.
But I think the 1,000-yard is the benchmark, though. In my opinion, the 1,000 yards.
To me, it depends on how many catches you have. So like to me, if you have 80, and really it's funny because like he had 78, but 80 plus catches, you should have 1,000 plus yards. But it really depends on the type of receiver you are, because like, do we not think of Wes Welker as an amazing receiver? I'm pretty sure we do. If you go and you look at Wes Welker's numbers, I'm pretty sure he has seasons where he had 100 plus catches and less than 1,000 yards.
When was the Super Bowl?
Yeah, he was a different kind of receiver, though.
And that's what they asked Juju to do this year. They didn't and he's a slot receiver. I'm not saying he's, Devontae Adams. I'm not saying that. But like to say that Mahomes didn't have weapons, like,
all right, so
to
if
me,
Juju was a decent
Burrow
number
had a
2.
better year because he had to do it without his weapons for stretches of time. He had missed Chase for 5 games. He missed Higgins for stretches of time too, and then Mixon was awful this year.
But Boyd is probably the equivalent of Juju, or close to it.
So
I don't agree with that.
So with Wes Welker, when was his last Super Bowl win?
What? Huh?
When was Wes Welker's?
2015.
And he was a number 2?
No, I mean,
Well, he was
No, it
so
wasn't.
Gronk.
What 2015?
no,
he was,
2015. He was a Bronco. That
okay,
was
so 2014.
Oh, you're talking about his year with
he was with
Manning?
Peyton. Yeah.
Oh,
So it looks like he was number 2 with Peyton Manning.
In 2015, what were his numbers? I think he was already like kind of done.
49, 464
He was-
with
so he was Denver,
2
right?
touchdowns. But when was his last Super Bowl career where he was number 2, target number 2?
2011 probably,
So 2011
or 2013. Who was he on? Who did he play for in 2013?
2013 he played with Denver.
Okay, so that one, Denver, 2013, because they went to the Super Bowl and got crushed by Seattle.
Okay, so in 20
That was the
was
blackout
ugly
Super Bowl.
yeah.
We were
Ugh.
during the third quarter. The whole production just went black for like 10 minutes or something like that, or 20 minutes. It was
oh, kind of.
So he had 10 touchdowns that season,
catches and yards.
73 catches, 778 yards.
See,
But with New England in 2011,
Yeah, which is
was
the
he
year-
target number 2?
3.
Yeah, behind Gronk, right? Oh,
And Moss.
and that's a Moss year. Okay.
So that year he had 1,500 yards.
And how many catches?
Receptions,
Probably like 110 or so. He had a really good year that year.
122.
And that's different. And that's different because he had Randy Moss
9 touchdowns.
and Gronk
Yeah,
to
no.
like take coverage away from him. But but most of his years are going to be somewhere around 10 yards per catch. And so that's a good slot receiver. That's what you
In
expect from
2009, did he win in the Super Bowl that year too?
him. No.
No.
09 they 09 they lost in the wild card.
Because
All right, well,
he had similar numbers.
So so what I was going to say though, the biggest thing to me isn't even the weapons. It's more often I feel like Burrow has to do it with like his arm strength and just like being tough under pressure. Whereas like a lot of the touchdowns that you see the Chiefs score, it's like, oh, that was a really cute play that Andy Reid designed. That was really cool. You see what Andy Reid did here?
think that?
Yes, all the time. All the time the Chiefs score touchdowns, and Andy Reid is getting as much credit as Patrick Mahomes because of the play design. Whereas the Bengals, you just don't like, and maybe what's I can't even think of their coach's name right now.
The Bengals coach?
Zach
Oh,
Taylor.
yeah.
Maybe Zach Taylor deserves more credit for his offensive prowess, but he's not getting it. And I haven't really seen anything. Whereas like there's some plays like that touchdown pass that Burrow threw to Boyd last week, or not last week. Excuse me, not last week. Sorry. There was a touchdown pass that Burrow threw to Boyd in last year's wild card game that I just rewatched.
Okay.
It's just he makes some really special plays that I just don't like. I don't know.
And you don't think Mahomes does?
he does? But sometimes I feel like he just gets lucky. I really feel like he's a very charmed individual. I do.
Yeah.
I do. I just do.
Interesting.
The luckiest player at the poker table is usually the best player. I'm
Yes,
just saying.
that's
Just saying.
true.
I'm just saying.
That is
That's
true.
The way I look at things.
But you know what? Burrow's been kicking his ass.
Yeah, and I will give you that. I will give you that. There's something there, and if it comes down to those two teams
So
again
to
this
me,
year,
that's
then
we're talking about Super Bowl picks, and that's what it comes down to me: is which quarterbacks are playing the best right now.
Yeah.
And in the NFC, who's playing better than Brock Purdy? Tell me which quarterback is playing better than Brock Purdy right now?
that strikes me as so funny, is because like
It is
if
so
you,
funny,
if
but
you say that at the
seriously.
beginning of the season,
I
everyone's like,
know.
"What the
who
f are you talking
Who's Brock
about?"
Purdy? You mean the 49ers practice squad quarterback? Because that's where he was at the start of the season.
Exactly.
But
He doesn't win that.
here we are in January. Who, like, seriously, what NFC quarterback's hotter than Brock Purdy? right now?
I'm
Maybe-
not as impressed with Purdy as you are.
I
Yeah,
do.
I think that's totally the talent around him.
I don't.
The coaching behind him.
I don't.
I think
I
feel like you're not
Coach is
watching
doing
games.
an amazing
I feel like you're not
job
watching the games.
covering.
I feel like
I feel like you're not
I feel
watching
like
the
it's
games if you say
different
that.
when you hit the
because like
postseason.
I in my
I
mind
agree with you. I agree
just-
with you.
it-
in my mind he's been so cool in moments where he could have crumbled. I've watched him take hits. I've watched
Yeah.
him manipulate the defense. Like,
But he still is what he is. What's his yardage
he is
total
what he
for the
is.
last
Like,
3
to me-
games?
I wouldn't be surprised if Geno Smith knocks him out. That wouldn't surprise me because Geno Smith has experience. He's been playing all season long.
Those two teams
He's been
know each
in and
other
out
so
of his
well.
own head. You know what I mean? So, whereas Purdy hasn't been like he still has. There's still possibility that he has in his head. I obviously don't know what
Okay.
he has in his head, but that hold on, let me finish. The allure of I'm unstoppable, right? And that could be a detriment, you know, and especially when you start facing a little bit of adversity, which happens in postseasons. You start to face those questions mid-game that you've never questioned yourself before. You know what I mean? And so you face all those confidence issues that happen, and we see it happen like every year. These hot to trot new quarterbacks just crumble in the postseasons. So historically,
he seems different.
okay,
I feel
That's
like
fair. If you
I've
feel like
watched
he
a lot of
seems
fucking
different.
football, dude. Like I've watched a lot of football, and like so I don't. This has nothing. This is not me like wanting Brock Purdy to be more than he is.
Mm-hmm.
When I watch him play football, I wish that Dak Prescott played football like that. I wish that he played more like how Brock Purdy plays. 'Cause
Okay.
he
So,
plays
Brock
intelligent.
Purdy to me is Cooper Rush.
No, that's not, dude. That's not fair at all. No, that's not fair at all.
Cooper Rush went 4 and 5 because he was put in a fantastic situation.
4 and
with,
5?
Wasn't it 4? Or I'm sorry, 4 out of
4 and
5. 4 out of 5. But won 4 out of 5 because he was in such a
He
fantastic
didn't do it
situation.
though.
with So much
but
around
he
him.
didn't do it. Brock Purdy did it. That's.
I would not put that on Brock Purdy's
And that's
shoulders.
that's how I know you didn't watch the games.
Not completely, but I
No, you
definitely
didn't.
watched significant
you
chunks
just
of those games.
just compared to what Brock Purdy has done the last 6 weeks to what Cooper Rush did in the first 5 weeks. They're not comparable.
Okay, what
not
are
at
the
all
yardage numbers
comparable.
for Purdy?
Purdy's 6 starts, 1,374 yards, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Okay.
Has 107.
How many yards per game?
I just told you. He's yards per game. Like, do the math. It's 200.
I didn't want to do math. I didn't
It's
ask for
200
math
okay,
questions.
240.
No, he's not. That was like 210. But
No, it's not.
you said 1,300 yards in 6 games.
Yeah. Do the math.
Yeah, it's-
You're bad at math if you think it's 210. Because 210 is 1260, buddy.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
It's 1360.
It'd be 1260. 210 times 6?
200 times
6
times
is
6
12.
games, that's
What's 6
1,200.
times 10? Mm-hmm. What's 60 plus
right.
1,200?
Wait.
What's 60 times... Okay, what's 6 times 10?
what are you guys even mathing right now? I don't even know what you guys are talking
Like
about.
I'm lost on what he's saying here. I'm like,
Dude, it's 6 games and it's 1,374 yards. Okay, so at 1,200 yards, it would be 200 yards per game. Okay, so you take 175 and you divide it by 6. That's almost 30. So it's 230. It's right at 230 yards per game. That's more than Aaron Rodgers.
I thought it was more like 180. So that does surprise me that's
It's and
That's-
2+
that's the average.
touchdowns in every game.
all right. All right. And like I said, I just
At 108 rating.
I think the playoffs he's gonna meet his match in the playoffs, but we'll see.
They beat Tampa Bay. They beat Seattle.
Tampa
they
Bay's
beat, They beat Washington. They beat Miami. Like
Okay, I didn't hear one of the top 5 teams in there.
there were 3 playoff teams. He beat 3, including the one that he's playing this weekend. Including the one that he's playing this weekend.
Yeah, that shouldn't have made it in. Yeah,
No,
I
but
know.
seriously, like Brock, when I thought about that for a second, like when I picked the 49ers and
You're making me want to watch
and then I
this game.
said I want the teams that are playing the hottest and they have the best quarterback play going on. And I really was like, you know what? I really don't think there's a quarterback playing better. Like, you want to say it's Jalen Hurts, but he's hurt, so you don't know. You don't know what you're going to get, because if you got the Jalen Hurts that we saw last week against the Giants, second stringers, that's not the best quarterback in the NFC right now.
Yeah, but
he's
that was
playing the most lights
was
out
different.
of any quarterback in the NFC right now. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And then to try and knock him because he's got Kittle and Debo and Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey, that's just more of a reason to bet on him.
No, I'm saying he's got those things and he's only putting up 230 a game. I thought it was 180 a game, but still,
that's all. He's putting up 230 a game. And they're scoring 30+ points.
to me, he's
He's Brady.
a better
He's
game
playing,
manager than we thought he was.
He's
gonna be.
playing
He's a
how
game manager.
he's playing how Brady did at the beginning of his career. That's what he reminds me of.
Well, how all rookies do at the beginning of the career, because they're managed.
Not all rookies play that well. Not all rookies. What are you talking about? None of the rookies that got drafted in the first round last year have played that well yet, except for Trevor Lawrence in the last 5 weeks.
This is how we treated Roethlisberger his first year.
Roethlisberger's a special case. Seriously, come up with another one.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. And his first year, we completely made him a game manager. Like, look, you're not the man. You're going to manage this game, and you're going to let the bus and their defense win this game. Like that to me, that's who Brock Purdy is.
Okay, so you just compared Brock Purdy to Ben Roethlisberger
In their first year.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Because the rookies.
Cool. That's fine.
Rookies. Yes.
Was super successful his rookie year, but you just compared.
Did he go to the Super Bowl in his rookie year?
No,
I'm
his
just
second
curious.
year.
I don't really don't know the
Championship
answer, Coach.
He lost.
championship
Yeah, he lost the championship game to Tom Brady.
Won the Super Bowl the next year, though.
As a game manager, apparently. But you just, but
second
seriously,
year,
if you're going
took more of it.
But seriously, you can't compare him to somebody compare him to his contemporary.
Let's do this. Let's segue what we're speaking about into the Seahawks 49ers game, since we're talking about Purdy anyway. Let's do that.
Oh yeah, 49ers are going to win this game by a lot.
And I think that's the consensus. And they're what, 9-point favorites? Is that
So
right?
here's the thing about
I'll look it up.
why
Okay.
I think they're going to represent the NFC.
Okay.
Is like Brock Purdy isn't going to make enough mistakes. The defense is so good, and that offense is like so machine-like that all they needed was somebody to come in and not lose their shit when the first read wasn't there. And watching him, it's crazy because
Plus 9.5
watching
over
the
under
49ers with Jimmy Garoppolo the first half of the season, that was not a Super Bowl contending team. They weren't. Jimmy made too many mistakes. You could count on him to make a mistake to get you back in the game. I've just not seen that from Brock Purdy. He makes spectacular plays. There's times where it's you feel like they got him, and he'll make a guy miss in the pocket, and he's just. I feel I'm fanboying over him right now, but it's I can't remember a time when I saw a rookie quarterback play this well, maybe Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, and Ray came up with who was your rookie comp? I
The one that he really reminds me of is Russell Wilson.
Okay.
If you remember Russell Wilson in his
I don't remember his rookie year.
Russell Wilson's rookie year, he was it's you don't. This is really fun. So in 2011, the Packers were the Super Bowl defending champions. Right? They went 15-1 that year. In the final game of the year, they sat Aaron Rodgers and they played Matt Flynn against the Lions. Matt Flynn throws 6 touchdowns.
For 300 something yards.
And then he signs
gets a contract.
a mega contract with the Seahawks, who then draft Russell Wilson in the 4th round, I think maybe. I think it was 3rd, because I'm pretty sure Dak was a later pick than Russ. And Russ steals the job in preseason. And so and it was like,
Sounds about right.
everybody was thinking it was going to be a shit show, because they just paid this guy like $50 million, which was a huge deal then, for like 6 years or something like that, to come in and be the starting quarterback. And then he lost the job to a, 3rd round rookie. It's just like, wasn't how things went back then. That's funny. Back then, it's 10 years ago. But Russ, led that Seahawks team, who nobody expected to do anything, to the playoffs, and they beat the Redskins, who had the rookie darling in RG3.
Oh yeah.
In Washington. That Brock Purdy reminds me of because Russell, the moments were never too big for Russ. That's what Brock Purdy reminds me of. I think he's a legit NFL quarterback. I do.
And could be, and I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying that they're kind of managing him still right now.
I don't feel that way, dude. I feel like they're just to me, there is not anything that has been a step down in their offense from the time that Jimmy was running it to the time that Brock has been running it, dude.
I'm trying to look for a bet here, but I can't really find one. 'Cause you're not gonna bet on the Niners. You want the Cowboys to win, so.
Oh, well, they're not playing.
He picked.
No, I'm just saying,
picked the Niners to go to the
I picked
Super
the Niners to
Bowl.
go to the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's right, you did. All right, well, what would be the bet? I can't just say the Niners aren't going to go to the Super Bowl, because that's definitely my favor. But
The most likely scenario I see is the Cowboys and the 49ers playing in the championship game. Because the Cowboys will smash the Eagles.
we have very different opinions of the NFC. That's funny.
But I think the Cowboys will have a bigger struggle with Tampa Bay this week than they will with Philadelphia next week if they get Philadelphia.
Okay. And just pulling it back to this game, we all think the San Francisco is going to win. We think they're going to roll. They look great.
And therefore Seattle will win.
I just want to throw out there that this is a divisional game.
Yep,
and
it
divisional
is.
games, weird shit happens. These
Yep.
these two teams really know each other. You know what I mean?
And San Francisco
Seahawks
has
have faced Brock
San Francisco
Purdy.
has-
Maybe they have some tape on him. Maybe they have a feeling for his tendency. Who knows?
San Francisco's beaten the crap out of them twice.
And I think they will again.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I can see the scenario here where the Seahawks can pull something out.
I don't.
I will say
There's
that
a couple of these other games.
I will
where
say that
I
think
don't see
I
how
think
they can
so.
win.
Playoff games can be a little wacky,
Yeah.
more so even than in the regular season. The turnover battle matters
For sure.
and sometimes fumbles happen.
I think
That's the only way I can see that the Seahawks have a path to victory is the
you think they're going to
49ers.
cover this 9.5?
Huh?
Do you think they're going to cover this 9.5?
I don't.
I don't either. And I think that goes over to the turnover battles, right? Because I don't think they're going to cover the 9.5.
I
So
just
you
think the
have to win
49ers.
that.
I think the 49ers are too locked in.
It's possible.
Did you watch that game last weekend?
I understand. I understand.
By halftime they had no reason to care about the game anymore. They still came out in the second half and just fucking punched the Cardinals in the mouth.
So
over and over and over again because they could.
I think the point that I want to make and to be understood is, at this point, you could look back in the regular season and see, right? You have to kind of create a gauge, but at the same time, now that we're in the postseason, you have to take into account theories. Mm-hmm. And Gino has more experience.
That's true. And that's why I'm saying fumbles. So Brock Purdy fumbles a snap, and the Seahawks recover inside the 49ers 30. That's a big deal.
So with that being said, I think that I do still think San Francisco's going to win. But if you're a homer Seahawks, I'd be comfortable betting on the Seahawks. Because it's the postseason, and Gino's got more experience. He's got less time to prove something.
If you watch those two 49ers,
he's got less
Seahawks
time to
games,
prove something.
They really
it could be his last show or his last show
think so.
to the playoffs and stuff. Maybe not, but he could be thinking that how many more years does he
wonder
really
what
have
his-
left?
well,
And
Geno-
Purdy has all kinds of years, right? And so he in his head could be like, I,
like what
have,
you're doing.
I have,
I like the narrative you're creating.
Yeah.
I do. I enjoy that because I like
So-
Geno. So like I would not be upset. Geno comes out and throws 4 touchdowns and 300 yards, and the Seahawks
these
pull off
players
a win somehow.
These players are more invested in their own narratives
yeah.
right now at this point in time in the postseason. A lot of that business decisions that they do on the field, a lot of that goes out the window. So
Hey, is that Wadabeezy up there?
yeah, he said, "Yo,
What's up? What's up,
What's
dude?
up, Wadabeezy?
He's he got second in his fantasy league.
Hell yeah!
Hey, congrats,
His wide
man.
receiver did awful,
Did you sit Mike
and
Evans?
his opponent was Mike Evans.
Oh, your opponent didn't sit Mike Evans. That sucks.
Mine did.
His did. Yeah. That is the,
That's how I got my
and that's the
championship.
difference between a championship and not a championship.
That's true.
Sometimes.
That's true. My opponent started Christian Watson instead.
Yes.
Thank you.
So
Thank you
next
very
up-
much.
Next up, we got Chargers versus Jacksonville. Chargers at -2.5. Over under at 47.5. If you're betting on the Chargers, -140. Betting on the Jags, +120. My initial thought on this game is Jags are on an upward trend in performance, and Chargers are on a downward trend in performance.
The Chargers are a seesaw to me.
So
Agreed.
And like, this is my favorite game of the weekend. This is the one.
This is one of my 2 or 3 that I think are just going to be a lot of fun to watch.
This is the one that I'm most excited to just like sit down and watch and just thoroughly enjoy because I don't care who actually
Who wins,
wins.
yeah.
I just want to see Justin Herbert versus Trevor Lawrence. The Terminator.
Yeah.
That's what I'm start calling him. He's the Terminator, dude. That's
Lawrence?
Like he's unfair. Like the fact that he's 6'6". Like he shouldn't be able to move that well and throw that well and be that smart. Like he's not fair. But yeah, I think the Jaguars are on an upward trend. And you know what the Jaguars remind me of? They remind me of last year's Bengals. Where
Okay.
if you remember, like, so going into last year, Burrow was coming back from the ACL injury, and it took him a few weeks to really get comfortable and start doing like things where he was willing to like run around in the pocket and like take hits as as he was throwing the ball, stuff like that. It took him a while to get back into like football mode. At the end of the year, he was just roasting people. That's what I feel like Trevor Lawrence is doing now. Trevor Lawrence, like he had this like fog of having to deal with Urban Meyer last year, and then like there's a new offense for him to learn, a whole bunch of new stuff happening this year, and then they got clicking. And the last month, man, he has been like he would have like when I asked the question who's playing better quarterback than Brock Purdy in the NFC, like in the AFC, like it's Burrow and then it's Lawrence. And it's hard not and Lawrence might be playing better the last few weeks than Burrow because there's more things that he's willing to do with the ball. He's more willing to run. So
Hard to compare there, but yeah, both playing great, no doubt.
So this game strikes me as like the this year's version of like the Bengals Raiders game from last year, and I see the Jaguars on that Bengals side. I like them.
I
like
kind of
them a
lean
lot.
Jags too. I don't see him getting past that, but I'm leaning Jags too.
I don't like betting against Herbert because I love Herbert.
Right.
But also the Chargers kind of look like that Raiders team where they're just kind of like they're here, but they're like you're not really excited about the fact that they're here other than they're here and you don't know what they're going to do. And then like if they lose, are they going to bring back their coach next year? You don't know. Like they could be a different team next year. So
What about you, Brian? Who do you think?
I
Who you
just,
got?
honestly, this is one of the tougher games of the week for me to pick. This is one of those really close games for me.
you want to know what seals it for me?
What's that?
Doug Peterson.
I was going to say, you said Trevor Lawrence a minute ago, so I thought you were going to go. So between Lawrence and Peterson, you just
What I mean, no. Doug
That-
the
Doug
coach.
Peter- yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That
between
combination.
It's between Peterson and Lawrence versus Herbert and Staley. And Staley just kind of like it's like he lost his mojo. You know what I mean? And like became just a yes man or something like that because the way they make decisions now and the way they're running their offense is just so different from what you thought was what you thought the Staley Herbert era was becoming like at this time last year. They're a completely different team. Like you really don't know what you're going to get. You don't know how how they're going to try and attack their opponent. They don't seem to be very confident in what they're doing.
And it seems to depend on their injuries for that week, honestly. Like that's the way that their season has been
we haven't
going.
even touched
So,
on that.
Yeah,
It's like
I mean,
they played
either-
their starters in a meaningless game last. That's another thing. Is like,
yeah.
so the decision making on their side, they seem like a team ready to collapse.
They've got all
they-
the
they
talent in the
made it.
world. They have the talent to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But do they have the coaching? Do they have the experience? Do they have the intangibles? I don't know. You know what I
think
mean?
so.
I don't think they do this year. Do they have the tangibles to make a run? I think they can win 2 games.
This
I think
year?
they're probably only going to win 1. I'm going to pick the Chargers here. I do think the Chargers will pull it out against the Jags. I think it's a tough game here. But I think the Bolts most likely are going to lose next week. But I think they have the talent to have a chance against anybody. That's kind of how I view the Chargers. But I also think that when it comes to the big teams, the big 5 that we've been talking about, I think they're going to crumble in front of those big 5. But I think everybody else in front of them,
And
they've got a real good shot against.
And I think I actually think the Jaguars have more of a puncher's chance against some of those other teams. Like I feel like what I see happening is I see the Jaguars winning this game, and then going off to Kansas City next week and giving them a really good game.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because after watching Trevor Lawrence in the rain game in New York, it's like, what wind, what rain?
Yeah.
It didn't look like it affected him at all.
Ray, I'm sorry, what's the line on this game?
2.5, I think, right?
Yep.
Who's the favorite?
Chargers.
Chargers. Okay, I was like, I don't even know who the
The
favorite is in
Chargers
this
are
game.
the
It's
favorite.
that close.
But, so yeah, I like
Okay.
the underdog in this game. I like the Jaguars.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah. What about you, Ray? What do you think?
I'm going with Jags.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with Jags. I don't think Chargers have the passion right now. That
Yeah,
the Jaguars
the
have.
Jaguars they're a more fun team. I feel like they're playing together. They believe in themselves. They just won their division. I'm in on the Jags.
All right. Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
All right.
And Wadabizi, just before we
Wait,
move on,
are you picking Jags too?
No, I'm taking the Chargers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Wadabizi, we were talking about our Super Bowl picks to open everything up there. I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, pick with us, man.
Yeah, who do you think's going to the
You've
Super Bowl?
been here all year. Pick with us.
He actually has his picks up. I'll read them off right now.
Oh yeah,
All
please. I'm
right.
curious. There we go. He's way ahead of us.
So Wadabizi, our viewer, is going with San Francisco. I'll put you
Okay.
down here.
Smart man.
Busy.
I really want to pick my boys.
He's going Jags.
I can't do it, dude. I can't.
Can't what?
I can't pick my guys. I want to, and I just can't. Like seriously. After watching those old playoff
Cincinnati.
games, the one watching last year's was like, okay,
Oh, he's going
okay,
Giants.
and like everybody was fixated on the last play, that draw, But the Cowboys just really, really gave themselves no chance to win that game.
So
they shot themselves in the foot over and over, and 14 penalties.
Bezzy,
And I have a stat about that too.
Bezzy feels that Dallas is going to the Super Bowl against 2.
Wow.
Who do you think they're going
Yeah,
against?
that's my man.
Wow.
My favorite viewer right there.
I was gonna say, man, you don't have the balls to
I
pick
can't do
your
it.
Cowboys, but yet Wadabizi does.
I can't do it because I just watch too much of Dak.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dak's not Joe Burrow. I wish Dak was Joe Burrow. Like, if I could pick one quarterback to start my franchise with,
No.
like today, that he'd been my pick. Yeah,
I'd trade Pickett for him. I'd do that.
yeah, and probably a couple first rounders,
At least one.
at least one. Yeah,
He's picking Bengals.
All right.
Cowboys and Bengals. That's a fun Super Bowl. That should happen.
Bezzy.
I like it.
Yeah, we beat them already this year.
I feel like you're the guy he listens to more than anybody else, just by his picks.
Well,
Next up, we got
we can
Dolphins
provide
Buffalo.
good stats and good
yeah,
points.
yeah, you're right. Take another shot, would you?
I could. Don't tempt me.
Sorry, what was that one?
Dolphins Buffalo. Dolphins plus 3.5.
We
The
can
over under
pass
is
on
at
this one. We all picked the
43.5.
Bills.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Moving on. Yeah. There's no Tua, right? No update today.
No, no Tua, no Bridgewater.
Thursday morning, I read that he hadn't officially been ruled out,
It is officially the third string quarterback. whatever his name
and so
is.
the other, so we can move on, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we just talk about it briefly in that Buffalo's going to roll because we only have 7 games, 6 games. I mean,
For all
okay.
for all the Bills and Dolphins.
But we got to spend
fans.
so much time talking about the 49ers. Well, we did that already, and the Cowboys game coming up. Like we have at least 30 minutes on that Cowboys game. No.
But I like I say, I just don't see how Miami can win this game. I just okay. Here's the scenario.
They shouldn't be
First
here.
quarter, or kickoff. Miami runs it back for a touchdown. First possession for Buffalo, pick 6 INT. So it's middle of the first quarter or early in the first quarter.
14-0.
14-0 Miami.
Oh yeah.
Who do you bet on?
You mean Miami, or
14-0 Miami has the lead.
I still bet on Buffalo.
Yeah, so would I.
I would still bet on Buffalo.
So would I.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. And give points.
Yeah, so yes. And I'd still give you like 6. You know, I still expect to win by a touchdown, or more. You'd probably still give like 10.
So that's what I'm saying. Best case scenario for Miami, they're still losing by double digits.
Best case scenario, the fans get to
it's
enjoy
ugly.
them winning the game for 15 minutes or so. And then it's a nightmare.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's ugly.
I just don't see how the Bills don't roll in this game.
Agreed.
I just don't see it.
All right, next up we got the Giants at the Vikings. Giants are +3, over under at 48, and if you're betting on the Giants, money line +135. Vikings is at -155. I am a little surprised that the Vikings is not
The line
favored a little bit more.
Yeah, I was just gonna. That was the first thing.
What
out
is
of
the
my-
line?
I was thinking of 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah, it's a very disrespectful line to a team that won 13 games.
Against a 9-7-1 team.
At home.
A 9-7-1 team that like has no number 1 wide receiver,
Yes.
has I like Daniel Jones. I killed him at the beginning of the year and deservedly so.
Yeah,
but
his last 2 seasons sucked.
also deservedly so. The last half of the year, solid quarterback,
Agreed.
very solid quarterback.
Yeah,
Like,
not amazing, but solid, doing what he's supposed to do.
He was
And-
bored. Honestly, dude, compared to if you think about what he had to deal with, he was borderline amazing. Like he was pretty good. And there was some really, really cool moments from Daniel Jones this year.
Bang, bang,
I'm not
Niner
gonna-
gang. Get out of here with
When
that.
I think of Daniel Jones now, the first thing that comes to my mind isn't him getting tripped by grass.
It's still up there, though. Come on.
It's actually him coming off the field with his hands bloody after having thrown a touchdown
with your
pass.
third string quarterback.
And he had because he took a hit on his non-throwing hand and finished the drive before he was able to come out and actually take care of it. So his hand was and I was like, that was really cool. That's tough. You know, there's a lot of pansy ass quarterbacks in the league. That's tough.
Yeah.
So
I respect that.
After the 2022 season, I am a fan of Daniel Jones. I think the Giants have to lock him up because if he goes on the market, he's the best quarterback on the market.
Well, and
Because they don't have right now. They don't have him.
right, and
Right
the
now,
Giants need to do
right now
something.
he's going to be a free agent, and the Raiders are going to come after him.
And Giants don't want to rebuild again. Like they need to do something. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, what do you think about this?
What's going on?
I think Steve is talking about the Niners over here.
Who's Steve?
One of our viewers.
Oh, what's up, Steve?
I'm messing with him.
I'm messing with him.
All right, so are we still on that?
Yeah, well, I think this is going to be a great game, honestly. Like this is one of the 3 games I was talking about. Like this is going to be
I like this game a lot
fantastic.
too, this is for me this is the hardest one to pick
This is one of the 3 hardest for me to pick
because
too.
the Vikings should win this game.
Yes, they should. They've got the talent,
But
they've
they've
got the
also
home field
got
advantage.
Kirk Cousins as their quarterback, and I'm excited to see what Daniel Jones is going to do in his first playoff game. You know, when the playoffs are magical because you have it just the lights really come on. You know, and some guys just really turn it on for the playoffs. So I'm always excited to see when quarterbacks get their first playoff start. I know what I'm going to get from Kirk Cousins. We've seen it already. Playoff Kirk Cousins is no different from regular season Kirk Cousins. So I want to see what Daniel Jones is going to do.
Yeah.
Because he's like, when I just described, like the thing that comes to mind when I think about Daniel Jones now is that like he's a tough quarterback who led a horrible team to a winning record and the playoffs.
And I will give you that.
And
I
so-
think that, and let me say that's what I think catches up.
They're
with him.
going to need him.
He's got a horrible team.
They're going to. So here's
The talent on Minnesota's side is going to win out.
Here's what
That's
I'm going to say.
I'm switching my pick. I'm going to Seahawks.
I agree. I agree with you. Oh, that's
Wow.
dirty. Why would
too many of you guys are on this Niner.
dirty. Oh, can't believe I'm doing that. That feels wrong. I agree that Minnesota's got all the talent, but the Giants have the better quarterback, and a lot of times the better quarterback wins.
I don't think they have a better quarterback
they do.
yet.
I
think he's developing to the point where he could be, but
potentially
he's not there
they
yet.
potentially have the better quarterback.
Potentially. And maybe he'll prove it this
what
week.
he's shown me this year, and seriously, if you look back at Daniel Jones's numbers over the last 8 weeks, if you look at him, you'd have been happy to start him as your fantasy quarterback,
Yeah, I can see that.
like all but 1 week.
He's got that running upside. No.
He does.
Is anybody going Giants?
He makes plays. I'm trying to get there.
Okay.
I'm trying to get there.
Go for it.
So, in order for the Giants to win, Daniel Jones has to have the best game of his career.
Okay, I'd agree with that.
That's what I
Yeah.
see. And
if he
that's
balls out, yeah.
Daniel Jones throws 3 touchdowns and 300 yards, they'll win.
Yeah, I agree.
And the Vikings can give that up.
Yeah, dude.
So I'm just
my DraftKings lineup says please let that happen.
Please let
but
I just finished my DraftKings lineup.
So
I did my DraftKings for Saturday, like all the games. by the
I
way.
did all 6. Yeah, I did
these
that.
two teams just played a couple of weeks ago, and I feel like if there had been 5 more minutes in that game, the Giants win that game by a touchdown in regulation. The Vikings won it on a 61-yard field goal in overtime. So I'm picking the Giants.
Okay. I don't think that's a bad pick,
I'm
honestly.
picking the
Like,
Giants. Saquon,
this is a 45-55 game to me. This is a tough game.
yeah,
to
it's
pick.
a really tough game to pick, and I like picking against Kirk Cousins because
Yeah.
it's like it's
It's kind of fun, huh?
it's a good life.
It's kind of fun.
And I say I'll probably pick against him next week. So
So next up we got Ravens at the Bengals. Ravens plus 8.5. Over under at 40.5. If you're betting on the Ravens, plus 350. If you're betting on the Bengals, minus 435.
You said 8.5.
8.5.
Okay.
I'm not
can't believe
convinced
that's all
the
it is.
Ravens are going to beat the Bengals.
Well, so did they rule out Lamar Jackson?
yes.
Okay, then yes. Then the fact
And
that
I
it's
believe Huntley is ruled
doesn't
out
matter.
too.
Doesn't matter. Is if it's not Lamar, they've got no chance.
Yeah, it's their third string. So
If they don't have Lamar, they've got no chance. They shouldn't be here.
yeah, it's going to be very, very ugly. This is the other game that it's going to be hard to watch. It is a
And this
divisional
sucks.
game, so things
now
can
that we're looking
happen.
at it, because
but,
there's
man,
the Ravens don't belong here, and the Dolphins don't belong here. Like I know. It would be the games.
and Pittsburgh could be here.
If the games were Pittsburgh at Buffalo and New England at Cincinnati, and they were just rematches from the season, I'd be happier to see that.
Yeah.
Like, because the Ravens and Dolphins are they're ready to go home. Like they're ready to start 2023.
Absolutely.
Are we moving on?
We should be.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we got Dallas at the Bucks. Minus 2.5 for Dallas. Over under is 45.5.
That's right. We're favored.
Money line is at minus 140, and the Bucks plus 20.
The
120.
third really good, tough game.
Can I complain
This is the third
for a
game that's
second?
really hard to pick. Go
Can I
ahead.
complain first? It won't take as long.
Okay, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead, Ray.
Okay, so I think the NFL should introduce the caveat that if you do not go over 500, you forfeit your playoff spot.
Somebody's got to win the division, though. I mean,
Yeah,
so-
but
so
at
we-
some
I
point,
definitely like the idea, but then what do you do with the division? Like,
your division needs to be.
Maybe there should just be less divisions.
I think that's better than what they're saying is
like,
just taking
there's-
the top 9 teams.
It's
in
only
general.
football that has 4 divisions per
There's-
conference.
There's got to be a punishment.
There's only 3 in the NBA. There's only 3 in baseball. There's
Mathematically, would that work out?
In hockey, there's only in hockey. I like the way that hockey does it actually. So in hockey, there's in each conference there's 2 divisions. So they're big divisions. The top 3 teams in each division get a spot.
okay.
Then it goes to best record.
Then there's one or 2 wild card spots, or
2.
2? Okay. Yeah, I like that.
So you could get 5 from one division.
How many
but you're
teams
going
are
to
in-
get 3.
How many teams are in hockey?
Huh?
How many teams are in hockey?
30.
30.
Okay, so pretty comparable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that.
And there's more teams make the playoffs.
Yeah.
16 teams make the playoffs in hockey.
And I agree that that's a better way of doing it. But let's just to throw out the owner's point of view here, by having those 4 divisions with 4 teams in each, that leaves more teams in it till the end, so that there's more viewership, there's more interest. So I mean, it's never going to happen because it's better for the business the way it is. But
Yeah, and
I
mean,
agree with what you're saying.
There's a division you can complain about like
There's
this
got to
every
be
year.
a punishment
Every
though.
single year because like
There's gotta be a
because the
punishment.
AFC South is just as bad as the NFC South.
You can't do one big dramatic
It's just
change
the
though.
only
But
re-
I think asking for a
the
team
only reason that the Buccaneers
be
have a
plus
lose
500 to
I
make
remember-
the fucking World Championship tournament.
I
think
remember
is
when
not
the
too much to ask.
Seahawks
I
were
agree with
7-9 and they won the NFC West and then beat the defending Super Bowl champion Saints
Yeah, because it's football. Yeah.
because it's football.
That being said, I'm picking
The Saints
Tampa
were the
Bay.
defending Super Bowl champions. You remember that game?
Oh, not really, dude. If it's more than 2 years ago.
So here's why you should remember that game.
Okay.
That was the Marshawn Lynch run,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
where he ran over like 8 Saints on this like 70-yard touchdown
Yeah,
run.
that's
Like,
a good one. That's a good one.
That was that game.
Yeah.
That was a 7-9 Seattle team beating the defending Super Bowl champions.
But should they have had a chance at 7-9?
Hell
That's what
yeah,
we're
they
saying.
should have. They
Yeah.
deserved it because they proved it. They went and beat the Super Bowl champions. Are you kidding
they
me?
proved it by going 7-9.
What I mean is they proved they deserved to be there by winning the game.
I'm saying,
That's all I'm saying. By
did
winning, they won the game over the Super Bowl champs.
but I'm saying the Super Bowl champs versus
With
the
Drew Brees in
worst
his
team in
prime.
football. The worst team in football has a 15 to 20% chance of beating them. You know what I mean? Like,
That's a high percent. That's a lot, dude. That's a lot.
So I'm going
NFL,
Tampa
brother.
Bay. With that
That's
being said,
like 15 to 20% to me is like a puncher's chance. That's the chance I give Jacksonville next week if they move on. You know what I mean?
after this week. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
If
this
they
week?
move on.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Like the worst team in the league to me does not have a 15% chance of beating the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs. The worst team, and who's the worst team in the league this year?
Ravens?
The Texans.
Didn't Houston almost beat them?
They did.
I'm
They actually
just
did.
saying.
They did.
I'm just
They
saying.
did. They did. But
Point
they didn't.
proven.
But they didn't. They 100% lost that game.
I think I proved my point. That's all I'm saying.
Me too. Me too. Agree to disagree.
Probably did.
No. So what I was going to complain about, actually, is that this game takes place on Monday night.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
forgot
does suck.
about that.
And I did not. I like because of. And if you remember, we were here last year, and I was on my on my porch yelling at kids about it, and I did not watch that Rams Cardinals game, that wild card game, because it was on Monday night. I'm not doing it. So
So you're not watching this game?
There's a 30% chance I don't watch this game.
You're a liar.
I have my son.
You're gonna watch this.
I have my son.
You're gonna watch them.
I have my son. The game. The game
you
doesn't.
have to
the
train
game
your
takes
son
place
to be a
at-
Cowboys
at
fan.
5
I mean,
at
come on.
5:15.
Put 'em on your
Like,
shoulder.
and I just like it's Monday. Don't make
You're
me
gonna watch.
Don't make me watch playoff games on Monday night.
Don't make me send you like updates.
Go ahead. Then I definitely don't have to watch.
Wow, did you see
Who are you guys picking?
No, but here was my argument last year. It's wild card weekend. Wild card weekend. Weekend. Monday is not the weekend. Monday is literally the first day of the week. Literally the first day of the week. Globally, it is recognized as the first day of the week. Here in the United States, we recognize Sunday as the first day of the week, but that's largely just, religious.
We like to be different.
Globally, Monday is the first day of the week. It is not the weekend anymore. Don't make me watch football anymore. And also it just completely splits up the weekend. It's not even like, so you've gone through a whole day of work and you're back to your schedules. Oh yeah, we're still on playoff weekend.
All right. So
like, this shit sucks.
If you want to rant about something, like tell us, like, you're a Cowboys fan, and right now this is a tough game to pick right here. So tell us, like, all of a sudden the Dallas defense has not been nearly as
Leighton
good the
Vander
last
Esch
few
has
weeks.
missed the last couple of games.
And Dak Prescott has been throwing an interception every game.
Oh,
Pick
that's been
six nearly every
that's been
game.
consistent. He's been on that roll for about 8 weeks now.
Okay, so tell us about the Cowboys. Like, is Dak going to get that under control?
Nope.
And is the defense back to where it was?
The defense I don't have problem with. The defense I'm not worried about.
Worried? Okay, not worried about, or is it that championship defense that can carry your team?
The defense held Tom Brady to 19 points in week 1. And the only touchdown that they scored was off an egregious pass interference play that wasn't called. It was an offensive pass interference on Mike Evans that wasn't called. So no, I don't really. And they were full power then, the Buccaneers.
Right.
The Buccaneers
Dallas,
the Buccaneers are a weaker team today than they were week 1.
They got the left tackle back, right?
No. Oh, Tristan Wirfs is back, but they've lost other pieces on their offensive line. Shaq Barrett's gone on defense. They're a weaker team overall than they were week 1.
I was just mentioning the offensive line because it felt like you mentioned the left tackle getting injured, weeks and weeks ago, and it seems like Tom Brady has really been struggling ever since then. And the more you said it, the more it's like, wow,
their offensive line
he's right. Like, that tackle really made a difference to him. And as soon as that tackle came back, what was it, 2 weeks ago, when Brady had his amazing game, all of a sudden Brady had time and Brady could throw the ball. So this isn't the slam dunk that it was 3 weeks ago. Now that tackle is back, I feel like all of a sudden Brady's got a little bit of a chance here. Brady's
also
pick the Cowboys.
Brady is also 6-0 versus the Cowboys.
There you go. And I'm going to pick the Cowboys here because I like to pick talent, and I hate Tom Brady. But but I really think that the Bucs just aren't what they should be, and they don't deserve to move on here.
The Cowboys,
but
are the
I
better
do
team.
think they're going to be able to move the ball.
The Cowboys are the better team.
I agreed.
They are the better team. The only question to me is Dak. Like, is Dak, if Dak plays a lights out game, if Dak plays the way that he's capable of playing,
then it's a blowout.
Then yes, they'll win by 2 touchdowns.
Agreed.
Like, the Buccaneers have struggled all year long to score against mediocre defenses. The Cowboys are a better defense than when they played them in week 1. They are, because they weren't playing it took them a couple of weeks to really come together this year. A couple of different pieces. Last year, after rewatching that wild card game, I feel like they know that they have unfinished business, like the Cowboys do. Okay. This is a team that's been together for a long time now. Like, their nucleus has been together for a long time. Dak and Zeke have been there since 2016. Zach Martin, and he's been there since 2014. Tyron Smith has been there since 2011. The biggest thing to me going into this game is that they're a team that doesn't commit as many penalties this year as they did in previous years. And like I mentioned earlier that they had 14 penalties in that wild card game last year against the 49ers. 9 or 10 of those penalties were committed by 3 players.
Wow.
It was Connor Williams, Randy Gregory, and Lyle Collins.
Okay.
They're all on different teams this year.
Yeah, I would say so.
So that's those are the things that give me the the greatest amount of confidence for the game. But it still comes down to the quarterback. In the playoffs, the quarterback has to play well, and Dak has not played well. He's not played well. He had.
So how does that Dallas offense win? Like where do they do it? Because obviously the Tampa Bay defense is amazing at stopping the run.
They haven't been. They actually haven't been as good
Recently, you're saying.
They have not been as good this year, and the Cowboys actually ran really well against them in Week 1 up until Connor McGovern got hurt. Their left guard went out of the game, and then they really struggled to move.
So what do you think happens here? Do you think they're able to run the ball against Tampa?
I'm picking my guys to win. So
how do they get it done?
How do they do it? They're going to be successful on the ground.
Okay.
They're going to be successful on the ground. Zeke and Pollard are both going to score. Dak's not going to turn the ball over. That's how they win.
Okay.
Because I do think the Buccaneers, because we're talking about Brady in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And I think probably the worst game I've ever seen from Tom Brady in the playoffs was that last one, that Rams game, where it just didn't seem like they could get anything done. And I don't see that happening again.
And here's what I see happening in this game. I really think Dallas has got the talent. And, spoiler alert, I think Dallas is going to win here. But I think that Tampa is going to be able to move the ball. I think that Brady's going to be able to dink and duck down the field. I don't think there's going to be any running game to speak of. I think Brady's going to throw the ball 45 to 50 times.
Yeah, I feel bad for him.
I think Leonard Fournette is going to have 6 to 10 catches because he's going to be catching these little dump offs on the out on the side there. And I just think that's going to be the offense for Tampa Bay, is these quick little dink and dunks and maybe trying to get it down the field.
I do too. I just don't think Brady's going to have the time.
I don't either. I don't either. I think that the talent's going to win out here. Dallas is going to win handily, and Brady's going to say goodbye for this year
and be on his way to Las Vegas,
which could be. I'm very curious to see if he's going to stick around another year and go to another
Cowboys?
team.
I'm picking the Cowboys. I think, so now that we've closed down picks, I am very excited to see what happens in Vegas next year.
Okay.
I really am, because all the talk is that Devontae wants to come back, and Josh Jacobs wants to come back, and there's not a whole lot of heat around getting rid of Josh McDaniels.
Well, they can't, can they? Didn't he sign one of those Gruden
Doesn't
contracts?
matter, dude. They just, the Cardinals just made fucking Cliff Kingsbury step down. He signed a deal through 2027.
That's true.
At the beginning of this year.
But
none of that matters.
You got to suck pretty bad for the owner to go.
So what I'm saying is, the reason I don't think that there's a bunch of heat around getting rid of him is because if they're going to make a run at Brady, you don't want to get rid of McDaniels.
Right.
So,
do you think that's their goal? They have to make a run at a quarterback, especially if Adams is going to stick around and Josh Jacobs is going to stick around. They have to get a quarterback.
The Raiders
somewhere.
haven't won a Super Bowl in 40 years.
Aw.
They're yeah.
Sorry, I don't feel bad.
No, I don't, and I don't either. I don't either. But being somebody who's a fan of the NFL, mm-hmm. it's like in baseball. When the Red Sox and the Yankees are good, it's good for baseball. In basketball, when the Knicks and the Lakers are good, it's good for basketball. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When your big market teams are good, it's good for the sport in general.
For sure.
The Raiders are one of those teams. Even though they haven't won a Super Bowl in 40 years, you ask the average fan of football to name 5 teams that they know, the Raiders are probably coming out of their mouth.
And I just want to say, especially since they've moved to Las Vegas, I really think that move to Las Vegas was way
overdue.
Oh
yeah,
and genius move. That had to happen.
They're the team that belongs there.
Yes, I agree with that too.
Yeah. So they have not won a Super Bowl in 40 years. They are a marquee franchise. I think it's worth, honestly, I think it's worth at least $1 billion to their franchise if they win a Super Bowl.
I think you could almost say any franchise, but yeah.
No, but the Raiders are different though. The Raiders are different. They are. It's just
Well, then I'd say it was worth $2 billion,
because
a $1 billion increase
can
on
we-
any franchise.
Ray, can you pull up the NFL's most valuable franchises for me, please? Like, there should be like a Forbes list of the net worth of the franchises, because I want to see where the Raiders are. Because then I'll give you an idea of what I think would happen should Brady go to the Raiders and then win a Super Bowl. That's how like
And win a Super Bowl? Okay, yeah.
he goes, they're winning.
Wow. Okay, I'd bet against that, but
Nah, he goes there. Like you give him Devontae Adams and Darren Waller, like no, they're winning again. He'll win again.
bold statement. But I mean, a lot of people would agree with you there. I think it's,
Darren Waller's a monster.
he's good. No, Waller's really good, and obviously Adams is amazing. Like, I don't disagree with that.
According to Forbes, they rank the Dallas Cowboys at $8 billion, and the Raiders are number one. And the Raiders are
Number 9?
Las Vegas Raiders, number 9, $5.1 billion.
Yeah, I think if Tom Brady was to go and
Wow, the
go,
Steelers are 17th. That doesn't make any sense.
I know, right?
That's crazy.
Isn't it?
Huh.
But that's how. But
You
that's,
can see how the owners think. You know what I mean? Because Jerry Jones is, very bottom line, very, you know what I mean? Like, he's the businessman first, whereas
brand.
yeah.
It's branding.
Right.
It's branding.
Whereas our Pittsburgh owners are a little bit more philanthropic,
Conservative,
a little, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, a little more like letting things play out naturally.
right.
I like how this
Okay,
list shows
so
what state they're from.
So here's what I think Tom Brady goes to Vegas, wins the Super Bowl. Vegas goes to the top 5. And what's number 5? What's the value of number 5?
Number 5 is valued at $5.8 billion. Chicago Bears.
The Bears are number 5?
Yeah.
Dude, the Giants are number 4?
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, that's a New York team. Even though they're
It surprises me that the Patriots are number 2.
Yeah, they've had their dynasty. It makes sense.
but so anyway, and what are the Patriots valued at?
$6.4
Jets are
billion.
number 7?
So the Cowboys are
Another New
number
York
1.
team.
So wait, the Cowboys are number 1 by over $1.5 billion.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
That is good branding, sir. Good branding.
So the Cowboys are.
You want to know who's the bottom?
Yes.
The Bengals.
Wow.
$3 billion.
Yeah.
Even after last year.
So what a lot. There's big talk about the Bengals and whether or not
Bills are number 29?
there's big talk.
Holy crap.
About the Bengals and whether or not they're going to be able to afford Joe Burrow because of the different types of deals that are happening now. The deals that are happening now, guys are getting cash. Like the owners that have cash now
Oh, and you're saying the Cincinnati owner just doesn't have the cash.
doesn't have the cash. Yes,
That's kind of funny.
it is kind of funny.
I hadn't thought of that as like one of the considering
It's a real
factors,
deal.
but yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
like it's a real deal for signing free agents now. Is being able to offer them cash.
Well, I didn't think there was any of the 32 owners that couldn't. You know what I mean?
You wouldn't think so.
No, I really wouldn't.
You wouldn't think so. But yeah, I would think that if Tom Brady goes to, based on those numbers, if Tom Brady goes to the Raiders and wins the Super Bowl, they go up to number 2.
I don't know about number 2, but they definitely go.
They're
up.
that popular, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no reason for them to be number 9. The Bears have done a lot more as a franchise than the Raiders have in the last 40 years.
But look, they're number 9, and they've gained 9 spots in the last year because of going to Vegas. So
Yep.
just yeah,
Yeah.
yep. They're
Where
on
do
the
you
rise.
see that at?
Right there.
right there,
the
9 up,
little
huh?
arrow. Yeah.
And
So
whereas
they have a swing of 9.
Cowboys
Interesting.
The Cowboys and Patriots haven't moved.
Interesting.
But yeah.
All right.
So yeah, that's what I think of when I think of Tom Brady going to Las Vegas. It's not even just about like could they win a Super Bowl. It's like there's so much money involved in a decision like that. You know, just imagine like if Michael Jordan had gone to the Lakers instead of the Wizards. You know,
I wish.
seriously though, imagine that.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
How cool would that
Why
have
did
been?
Chicago go up 2
That would have been
spots?
Jordan and Shaq and Kobe all
Yeah.
together. I'd have watched that. I would have watched that. I'd have been happy to watch that. I think. Like I would have
That's
had
a show.
Like it would have taken a second for me to get over it because I've always hated the Lakers for some reason. Even before.
Oh, you know what?
Even before I was a huge Celtic
You're
fan,
not the only one.
I just didn't like the yellow and purple.
The Bears have a 2% debt ratio, so that could be contributing to their value. Yeah.
Oh, where the others have a lot more.
Well, the Rams have a 51% debt.
Oh my god.
And they're number 3.
They're number 3. Yeah.
Oh my god. That means that they could fall out at like any minute.
The only team that doesn't seem to have any debt is the Houston Texans.
Woo.
Yep. They're the only team that has no debt.
Doing it right.
They lost 2
Yeah.
spots.
Houston, Texas, doing it right. Yeah,
it
that's it. Ooh, Texans.
Oh, man. So we picked all the games.
All right.
You know
yeah.
what, though? They just bought that stadium. That has a lot to do with it. I'm
And
sure.
Wadabizi, like, do you have any questions, or if there's anybody else out there listening, if you have any questions? But is there anything you want to talk about or throw out there before we start signing off, or what do you guys think?
Are we going to read DraftKings picks?
I didn't do one.
Well, we're in tiebreaker mode, so you probably should.
We're in tiebreaker mode?
Yeah, we all ended in six
We all
games,
had 6 wins during the season.
which throws us in tiebreaker.
Who had
Post-
the most points during the season?
You did, I think.
So if we don't do these postseason picks, that's going to be the tiebreaker, right? Who's got the most freaking points? And I'm not willing to concede to him
On points?
on points,
Uh,
even though we're tracking it.
I was going to say, you,
like,
you
and
guys
I
already
hate
had to concede in the
tiebreakers.
picks. You know, I mean, might as well concede here, too. Yeah.
Well, if you guys are all picking the same
We had a
teams,
really good season.
No, we did. We
like to have that many correct picks and to finish so close. Like I'm very happy with this season. Good job, dude.
Thank you, man. You
Great
too.
season. You
Yeah.
had a great year.
No, we
So
did
I'll go
good.
ahead and go first with DraftKings, since my lineup's done, and I'm going to go with Tom Brady. This is a postseason, and he's valued at 5,800. Let's see some of that postseason magic and some of that experience that I've been.
We're doing all 6 games, right?
Yes,
The
all
lineups
6
are
games.
from all 6
Classic,
games.
but all 6 games. And then in my running back, I got Hasty from Jacksonville, McCaffrey from San Francisco, and then wide receiver Evans, pairing him up with Brady. Lockett from Seahawks.
Go slower.
Lockett
Talk about the reasoning behind your decision so I can pick my lineups.
I will, and some of these other non-obvious picks. Okay, so let's head back up to Hasty. Why did I pick Hasty? I picked Hasty because he at least gets touches, right? And he was valued at 4,600. He had even though he only had half a point for fantasy last week, he had 17 the week before that. I'm hoping that they're going to have to rely on him a little bit more than that. Lockett, I think, is a more obvious choice, but Osborne, the last 2 weeks, he's scored over 18 points in fantasy, and he's valued at 4,500. So what I'm seeing here is they're leaning on Osborne more and Minnesota, so I went ahead and picked him. I needed some
Very true
low value players. Kittle, I don't think Kittle needs any explanation there why I picked him.
No, Seattle being basically the worst team in the league against tight end. Kittle has torn him up in the last 2 games. So
Then Hines. Hines was just a value roll dice pick. He didn't score any points in week 17, but he scored 12 in week 18. So for somebody who was valued at 4,500, I'm just kind of hoping for some kind of a repeat performance. He did score 8 points in week 15, so the potential's there if they decide to lean on him. The Jaguars, I picked for my defense because they're going up against the Chargers. Really, that's why. They've scored over 10 points as a defense the last 5 games, so valued at 2,700 points. That's why I went with them. I played the numbers game here with my picks, and I think if Jacksonville beats the Chargers, it's going to be because they're stopping their offense. So there you go.
yeah, I agree with the Jacksonville defense. Well, okay, I had 2,700 left, and the Jacksonville defense was the best option available. I was actually really considering going with the Bucs defense here, just because there's been so many turnovers by the Cowboys. But I don't know. I feel like that Jacksonville game and the Jacksonville defense is averaging over 2 points a game more than the Bucks. So I feel for that you just want to go for your best points per game with that cheap starting price there. Okay, at quarterback, I am going to go with Daniel Jones because Daniel Jones is only $5,600 because he's so cheap. I need 15 to 20 points out of him, and if he gets more than that, awesome. And I really think that 15 points is his floor, and 20 to 25 is very, very doable here. At wide receiver, I went ahead and paired him with Rick James. Oh wait, Richie James, I think, but he should be Rick James. Better name. Sorry,
Rick James, Richie James.
whatever, same. But he is only 3,900, playing against one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. There, I just feel like that's a good value, and James has been one of the main targets over the last few weeks. At running back, Travis Etienne seems to be a no-brainer here. The Chargers have been a run funnel defense all year long, and Jacksonville wants to run the ball. They want to run Etienne. Lawrence has been doing great, but they would like to be a run-first defense or offense. I'm sorry, and I like Etienne here. I think he's going to have a great game. If he doesn't have 100 yards, I'd be very shocked. At running back, Leonard Fournette. He's only 5,300, another value here, and I will tell you, I think he's going to have less than 30 yards rushing.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm picking him up.
But he'll probably have like 7 catches for 45 yards and
I think he's going to have 9 catches at least. So that's 9 points right there just on catches alone. And let's say 50 yards, that's 14 points. And then if he happens to get a touchdown as well, bam, you're in the money. So for 5.3, I feel like he's got a very good floor. At wide receiver, here's where I spent up a little bit, other than Ricky James. Keenan Allen for 7,000. It just without Mike Williams out there, Keenan Allen is just going to soak up a lot of targets. Yes, he's going to get the number 1 cornerback. I am a little bit worried about that.
Don't know who that is for Jacksonville, so we're not really that worried about it.
I can't remember his name, but they do have one that's decent, so it's better than it looks. But Keenan Allen, he's going to get 9 or 10 he's going to get 13 targets or more, but he's going to get 9 or 10 catches, and what he does with those, it's hard to say. But even at 9 or 10 catches, no matter what, he's going to be worthwhile in your cash lineup. Justin Jefferson at 8,400. I mean, how can you not? It's Justin Jefferson. I think he's going to go off this game. I think he's one of those guys that you really want to fit in your lineup if you can. I had to save some money at tight end, so I went with Cade Otton. Again, I think there's going to be a lot of short targets there for Tampa Bay. So if Cade Otton gets 4 catches and 40 yards,
if the game
thrilled.
plays out the way that you think it's going to play out, then Cade Otton is a good play because he's Tom Brady's 2-minute offense guy.
Yes.
If you've noticed that this year, when the game comes down to crunch time and the Buccaneers have to score, Cade Otton scores a lot of points fantasy wise.
Yeah, he's their Mr. Necessary.
And it makes me wonder every time it happens, why don't they get the ball to him earlier in the game? I mean, it has nothing to do with me having him in Dynasty.
Nope.
Not at all. Just a wonder I have.
And so since I saved some money in some of those other places up above there, I'm going to go ahead in my flex and go with Jamar Chase.
Ooh.
I think that's a nice
Chase
little...
and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. And Keenan Allen. So, yeah, I think that's going to do well.
Receiver.
And
He almost went, whoops.
at my DST, I went ahead and went with the Jaguars because I think they're the best bet below 20 or at 2,700 or below. I could see going with the Cowboys against the Cowboys just because that turnover is probably coming, but I don't know. I'm going to go this way. What do you think, Ken?
Sounds like a loser. All right. So my lineup is going to read like a tournament lineup, really, but it's the playoffs. So that's kind of hard to avoid.
Agreed.
My quarterback is actually cheaper than yours.
Wow. Okay.
I'm going to go with Brock Purdy.
That's a spite pick.
For $5,300 against the Seattle defense at home. He only for 5 consecutive games, he has paid you back and then some for this price.
No, I agree. I went back and looked at his fantasy value over all his starting games, and I think his lowest starting game was like 18 points.
Uh-huh.
So
He's been solid.
That's very, very solid.
While not making mistakes, while not making a bunch of mistakes, he's played very well, and I expect the 49ers to roll in this game. So I'm going to pair him with Brandon Ayuk at receiver, just to let you know that real quick, at 5,800. My running backs, though, Travis Etienne at 6,300. I'm with you. I think that's like the easiest start of the weekend on the running back side, because it's just he's the running back who's getting 20-plus touches a game, who's facing the worst defense against running backs. Yep. So that's just that seems like the obvious place to go. And then at $6,400, I'm going to play Tony Pollard, because I think I think this is going to be like Tony Pollard is about to be a free agent, and like he's put a lot on tape already, but he likes to ball out when the lights are on. And
Don't we all?
And he but not everybody does. But Tony Pollard does. He does show up during playoff games. He shined last year in that game against the 49ers.
Yep.
So for 6,400, I like Pollard a lot. I already said I had Brandon Ayuk at receiver at 5,800. Along with him, I'm going to play both of the Seahawks receivers and play Tyler Lockett at 6,000 and DK Metcalf at $6,200 because I think they're going to be behind all day. I do think that this is going to be a back and forth game. Like we're saying, it's a divisional game. Yeah. This is the third time they've got together. I think this is going to be the best of the 3 games that we've gotten so far. And I think the Seattle will actually give them kind of a game. And therefore, I'm going to start George Kittle at tight end. Mm-hmm. And if you've been watching,
that's an extra. If you can fit him in your lineup, that's an excellent start.
If you've been watching George Kittle and Brock Purdy together, it's been like Brady and Gronk 2.0. Like and
some of that's been the matchups. The matchups have been really good lately. But,
a little bit, because they did play Seattle and they did play Arizona to end the season,
and those are huge.
But before then, he was doing it too, and he's just like Kittle's. He seems to find Kittle in ways that Jimmy Garoppolo just didn't. Does that make sense?
I do, but there's going to be.
Here's what I think it is. An intelligent quarterback is going to go out there. He's going to run the play, and when the play breaks down, he's going to go, "Where's my guy?"
Right.
Yeah. And for Purdy, because he's a smart guy, his guy is Kittle. Where is George? Let's find him and throw him the ball.
But that's what I'm saying. Is that the case, or is the fact
it's what it feels like that? Because they're like I said,
in the games
they're not doing anything different offensively. They're not George Kittle. They're not making him more of a focal point. He's finding Kittle on busted plays. Like he's finding Kittle as his second and third option on plays. When he gets into trouble, he's finding Kittle. And so,
and I guess my only point is that before Purdy really came into
George Kittle was unplayable.
He was really staying into block, which is why he was really blocking to give time to the quarterback.
You think he's blocking less now that the third string quarterback's in there?
Well, no, because they have
I don't know.
They have different. That's why I was looking up the matchups. The matchups have been Arizona, Seattle.
I don't think George. But it hasn't just been that.
They played them.
They played them once each. They also played Miami and Washington, Tampa Bay. They played really good defensive teams. Miami's not a really good defensive team. They're an average defensive team. The other two are really good. Like Washington and Tampa Bay are very good defensive teams, and he crushed them. As somebody who's played Kittle in fantasy over the last 2 years enough times that it's frustrating. George Kittle had gotten to the point where it was is he a top 5 tight end?
No, I totally agree.
And we thought that it was because of scheme. We thought it was the 49ers just asking him to block too much. Then all of a sudden, this fucking 7th round draft pick quarterback takes over, and George Kittle goes nuclear.
Okay, and I'm just saying, during that time,
here's the
they
thing.
played Seattle, they played Arizona, they played Las Vegas.
I'll give
Three
you
of the worst teams in the league.
I'll
versus
give
tight
you
end.
I'll give you one thing here that the only thing that argument that I'll hear against like Kittle continuing to have good performances is that Debo's back now. That's the
Yes.
only one. That's the only argument that I'm really willing to hear against it.
And it's an important
But
one.
the thing is that, like that the reason that argument doesn't hold as much weight to me is because I'm not seeing the 49ers draw up plays for Kittle. That's not what I'm seeing. Brandon Ayuk has been the person who has benefited for plays, being designed for him while Debo's been out. It's the goes to first read's not there, scrambles away from a guy who's breaking through in the pocket for and pressuring him, and then him finding Kittle. Like that I've seen so many times in the last few weeks that I feel like it's just going to continue. Like I feel like that's his guy.
All right. That's fair.
And
something consistent.
And that's one thing that like we don't really talk about it anymore, but it used to be like an adage, back in the day. The best thing you can do for a young quarterback is give him a great tight end, a security blanket. And he treats Kittle that way. He treats him like a security blanket. Like I was saying, when he gets into trouble, more often than not, 85 is where he's going with the ball.
Did you finish your lineup there?
No, who would want to after talking about George Kittle for so long? My flex at $4,500, I feel like this is my punt is going to be KJ Osborne.
Oh, well.
Against the Giants, but I feel confident about that. I feel like he's going to get a couple of shots.
Like say raise on him too. I agree with that one.
My defense, I feel like the best defense to start this week is the Bills at home against the Dolphins. The Dolphins,
How much were they?
3,300.
I could not afford them, or else I would have gone there.
Well, you had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson in your lineup. So
And I almost went down to Stephon Diggs instead of Chase to get the Buffalo defense, but
that seems not bad.
thought about it. Didn't quite go there. I feel like it's very close.
It is very close. Like
Yeah.
Diggs versus Chase. That's really.
And you come out, Chase
So,
is
hold
going to
on.
be a little on top.
I think Diggs versus Chase is probably close enough that I'd rather if
You'd
one
rather
of
take the defense?
if one of them means I get to play Buffalo's defense, I'd rather take Diggs.
I can see that.
All right, so I'm going to take another shot right now, and we'll say that this shot is to congratulate Brian on his call of Allen Robinson outscoring OBJ.
What about the McCaffrey? Look, the McCaffrey 14
That's still up there.
touches.
We'll leave that one up
We're
there.
going to leave that one? Okay. All right, this one was Robinson OBJ. Okay. Oh, and did you take this McLaurin Wilson?
No, I took the Bowmores. Yes, I took both Bowmores.
Okay, so McLaurin Wilson Bowmore.
The Bowmores are off.
Packers Bowmore is gone.
Robinson OBJ,
And Robinson OBJ.
and I'll take one more before we sign off here.
All right, which one do you want to take a shot for? You got
I'll
all
take.
these
I'll
choices.
take. I'll take. Yeah, thanks, buddy. I'll take them. He's having such a good time.
I really am.
Well, I love you, buddy. I'm so. You know what? It's good that you get to have so much fun on Wild Card Weekend, even though your team's not playing.
Hey. Like you said, it's almost a good thing. So what's the last one I'm erasing here?
The McCaffrey one. We'll make sure that we get that one out of there.
Get that one off the top.
That one, and that one's the funniest one to me. They were all so close, except like the only one.
Dude, our bets are
They were
always
so
close.
good. Our
It's-
bets were
it's
so good.
Hilarious.
I
because
love that.
I feel like every time you beat me by one, and then me beating you by one on that bet just makes you.
And all of these ones were so close, though.
I agree.
Like all of these ones. So yeah, you.
Well,
just,
there's a few. The OBJ one sucked, but
that was yeah. And that's why I wanted to wipe that one off the board.
Yeah.
You know? But the other ones were so good. Like the DJ Moore one, like
DJ Moore almost came out the end.
If Sam Darnold had played more of the season,
I agree, dude. I agree. I agree.
like the McLaurin versus Lazard, that one didn't end up as good. It's funny because I thought that one was going to be a really good one, and that one did not end up as good.
Because Watson ended up being
Before
the
we
man.
forget, did you take the shot that he just erased?
Yeah, yeah.
You said you were going to take one more.
I'm
Well,
gonna-
he's got
I'm
a
going-
port, I
I'm gonna-
think.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
pour it
Oh, he's pouring it right now.
gonna
Okay,
pour it.
okay.
to make sure that it's
Good,
here.
good call, Ray. Thank you. Yeah, make him pay up. I love it.
Buffalo Trace with a chase.
Did anybody have any questions before
No,
we
we didn't.
start
We didn't get
moving along
anything.
here?
No,
Did we say anything questionable?
He was.
I
open-ended.
was asking Wadabeezy for
Open-end.
some questions or some comments, but all right. Well, shoot.
Yeah, I agree. We'll just wait for Ken to take the shot, and we'll close the night out.
Take this last shot.
All right, make it happen, Captain. Love it.
All right, you guys. We'll see you at the next week, and we'll see how our progress is going.
Cheers. Go Cowboys.
Peace out, everyone.